What you are about to witness is probably the most convoluted and complicated Final Fantasy VII glitch I have ever seen. And the end result of it is that Aerith will be permanently placed back into our party with no downsides, no funny business, no hacks, no touching the game save, nothing. Just from the code in the game, we are bringing Aerith completely back into the party permanently for the rest of the game, and we don't have to miss any content at all. We get to see all of Temple, all of City, watch her die, and then immediately bring her back into the party permanently. I should mention right off the bat, first of all, because everyone always asks, this is always everyone's first question, this works on the original PC version and it works on the Steam version. So you can go do this right now on the Steam version. Secondly, I need to say that this is not for the faint of heart, okay? If you came here for a short, flush the toilet 10,000 times and Aerith is back, you're in for a ride, okay? So sit down, get comfortable, get a snack, or skip to the end of the video, whatever you have to do, but this is not going to be a quick and easy explanation. You are going to have to be invested, okay? Because there is a lot. Thirdly, this is not a Easter egg, Aerith Easter egg, bring her back, like code in the game that the developers put in or something. This is breaking the game so hard in so many different ways that we bring Aerith back into the party. This is not a revival, you know, in the typical sense. This is not an April Fool's joke, flush the toilet 10,000 times and beat Emerald Weapon without the underwater materia and Aerith comes back. But this is genuinely bringing her back into the party. So first of all, how did this happen? So 8 years ago, I uploaded a video called Bringing Aerith Back to Life. And in that video, I talked about how we can use Yuffie warping. This was back when Yuffie warping was first starting to be implemented into the speedrun. How we could use Yuffie warping to basically skip over the death scene. So it wasn't bringing Aerith back to life, but it was basically just skipping her death. So she never dies. You never do City, you never do Temple. You skip over all of that, and then you just play the rest of the game with Aerith. Which did work, but there were some problems with it. First of all, you're not really bringing her back. You're just keeping her from dying. Second of all, you miss all of Temple and all of City, which means you miss all of the stuff in Temple, including, importantly, Aerith's ultimate weapon, the Princess Guard. And if you're doing like a full 100% playthrough, you can't do that method because you miss a bunch of stuff, right? So when I made that video, legend in our community, Dynamics, took it upon himself to try to find a way to not just skip the death scene, but bring Aerith actually back into the party. And he went down this huge rabbit hole of stuff, and eventually he came up with this plan to basically Yuffie warp into Midgar and fight the sample boss. So if you remember in Midgar, Aerith gets captured by the Turks, and then you fight through the HQ, and then you fight Sample. And when you beat Sample, there's a line of code that places Aerith back into your party. So she does completely leave the party. You don't have the PHS yet, but she leaves the PHS menu. And when you beat Sample, it places Aerith back into the party. So his plan was to Yuffie warp into Midgar, fight Sample, get Aerith back in the party, and then Yuffie warp back out of Midgar, back to his normal save, right? And he ran into a huge amount of problems with this, mostly because when you take a party in the future and you bring them back into Midgar, Midgar doesn't act correctly. And there were two big problems he had. The first problem was the game moment. When the game moment's incorrect, Sample doesn't even spawn in. You don't even get to do the Sample fight. And two, the key cards were incorrect. So when you're going up the Shinra HQ, you get key cards to open up all the doors, right? When the Turks capture you and put you in jail, it resets your cards. so you no longer have access to the cards. And so if you Yuffie warp back into Midgar, you still don't have the cards. So you can't get through the doors, can't even get up to where Sample is in the first place. So those were his two big obstacles, and he tried and tried and tried for a really long time. There was also another guy in the community. His name was Song Sangnims. He and Dynamics worked together to try to figure out the problem, and they couldn't figure it out. They tried and tried and tried. This was 8 years ago. There's a bunch of posts on the topic, and they eventually gave up. So fast forward to 3 weeks ago, and somebody new pops up. His name is Michaelis89, and he makes a post on GameFAQs, and he says, hey, I'm working on this playthrough. I'm trying to do a perfect playthrough, and I'm using Yuffie warping to go back and collect items that you're not supposed to have multiple of, etc., etc. And I came across this thing with Sample where he places Aerith back into the party, and I was wondering if anyone has tried to find a way to bring Aerith back with this. And Dynamics sees the post, and so he posts and he says, hey, you know, tried this 8 years ago, wasn't able to figure it out, would love to see if you could figure it out, but you know, I'm checked out of that one. I tried and tried and tried, couldn't figure it out. And Michaelis is not deterred. Even though one of the biggest legends in our community tried this 8 years ago, he goes forward and continues to try to figure it out. And using some of the new stuff we know about Yuffie warping and how it can be extended through multiple save files, which is something that was only found recently when we found Calm Skip, and we used it to get the new wrong warp setup for any percent. Using that new knowledge, he found a way to do it. He found a way to get into Midgar, bring Aerith back, and get back out. And it involves an insane amount. We're Yuffie warping like 3 different times, all these different setups, a conglomeration of a bunch of different glitches we found over the years, and it takes a long time to do it. So, like I said, strap in, because I'm going to show you how to do it. I took what he found, and I found pretty much like the simplest way to do it, quote unquote, simplest way to do it. And I found a way to do it the way he did it. He used a gold chocobo, he used the high wind, and he used the key to Sector 8. I'm using none of that. I am only doing it with the Tiny Bronco, and I'm going to be doing it from the moment she leaves the dies. She leaves the party before she dies. But this right here is the save we're going to be using, and this is right after she dies. So this is right after Disc 2, right after the disc change. As you can see, when I walk over here, it's going to do the whole Sephiroth cutscene. So this is right after she dies, and we're going to be bringing her into this save file right after she dies, and then she's going to be usable for the whole rest of the game. I figured that's when everyone would want to bring her back, right after she dies, right? So let's talk about prerequisites, because there's a lot of them. So first of all, you need your save that you are bringing her back on, which for me is going to be the save right after she dies. You don't need anything special on this save, but you do need to not have Yuffie. So you need to play through the game up to this point and not get Yuffie yet. We can get her afterwards, so you can get your full party afterwards, but up to this point, you need to have not gotten Yuffie yet. The second save we need is we need a save right here. This is after the scene where Cloud looks into the Genova cell and sees Genova, and Barrett says, what the heck? This whole thing's stupid. And there's a cutscene. I'm going to get into a fight here real quick, because I know it's like right here. So there's a cutscene that plays. A lot of people don't even know this is a cutscene. I didn't know this was a thing till recently. But if you watch the Genova cutscene and then you walk backwards, there's a scene where Hojo walks away and walks through the door and locks it, and then walks up the stairs. So this cutscene only plays once, so you need to make sure that you have not seen this cutscene yet. You need to watch the Genova scene, watch Barrett say this whole thing's stupid, and then immediately walk up and save, and make sure that this cutscene is still ready to be played, right? So that's number 2. Number 3. We need a save outside the Shinra building right before you break in. So Tifa and Barrett say, do you want to take the stairs? Do you want to break in? Doesn't actually matter which one you pick. Just pick one and then save. So now when we walk in, it'll be busting in the Shinra scene. And then number 4. It does not matter. Number 4, we need a save right before Motorball. So this is after beating Rufus. Come down here, save. As soon as you talk to Tifa, they run out and starts the motorcycle scene, right? So that is all you need for prerequisites for this. And again, this works on either the very original PC port or the Steam version. Now, let's officially revive Aerith. So first, we're going to load up the save that we want Aerith on. And of course, like I said, this is the save where she just died. And we are going to make our way all the way back to Midgar. Okay, we're going to park the Tiny Bronco here, and then we are going to walk all the way to the first forest where Yuffie can be grabbed, which is by Junon. Now you don't need to do this snake trick. You can just kill the snake, but it's quicker. You don't need to do that. You can fight the snake and beat him if you want to get across, or you can even catch a chocobo to get across. All right, and this is the first forest where Yuffie can appear. So we're gonna save the game right here, and that is step 1. All right, so that is step 1. Now we're going to exit the game, and we're going to load up the Motorball save. And we're going to go all the way to Motorball. All right, so now we are going to die to Motorball. This is something that most speedrunners are used to at this point, because this used to be part of the route way back in the day. All right, and then we're gonna load the file we just made with our main crew. And now we wait until Yuffie appears. Yuffie only has a, what is it, 12% chance to appear here? There she is. Okay, and then we're gonna defeat her. I'm gonna Giga Dunk her for bonus points. Give her the Giga Dunk. Boom. Okay, and then this is going to Yuffie warp us into the Motor Ball boss fight. And the reason we're doing this is to set our game moment to a very specific number, so that later, when we Yuffie warp again into Midgar, the sample boss fight will be available. But that's only the beginning to our problems, because a lot of the stuff in this game depends on game moment, but surprisingly, a ton of stuff in Midgar actually works on flags. So as you'll see, when we're in Midgar, a lot of stuff is going to be weird because certain flags are going to be on that aren't supposed to be on, and then certain things will work because of game moment. Usually when you warp around the game, everything will work normally once you get your game moment in the right spot. But Midgar has a ton of permanent flags that go on and off. So, for example, when you... Well, this is kind of a bad example because it's a materia, but when you pick up the enemy skill materia, that's a flag. So once we beat Sample, you'll see the enemy skill materia pop out, but then we won't be able to pick it up because the flag's already gone. This scene is also a flag. So even if we set our game moment to before this, if we play this scene out, the flag will be permanently set and we'll never be able to see this scene again. So because of that, we actually need to skip this scene. And the way we do this is the same way we do in the speedrun. You basically need to talk to Barrett and try to leave at the same time. So when you try to leave, you get this dialogue that says, let's stay here for a while or let's go. And when you talk to Barrett, you get this dialogue that says, we told Aerith's mom, yeah, she should be, or whom I don't know. And then Aerith talks. So what we want to do is we want to activate both of these at once. So we're going to run at a down and left angle, and we're going to hit circle when we're about right there. Just like that. And you'll know if you got it because you'll see Barrett turn to talk to you, but you'll also get the dialogue to leave. Just like that. So Barrett turned, so Barrett's going to try to talk to me, but also Cloud is going to try to leave. So what we want to do is we want to exit out of this box. And now this is the box that says, do we want to stay here or do we want to go? We want to hit down. So we're on the let's go. We're going to hit circle. And then Barrett's going to start talking, and we're going to hold down and run. And now when we close out of this box, doesn't matter what we say here, Cloud is going to leave. So now we left, but we didn't actually finish that scene. So now that scene is still there. And now we're going to go get in our tiny Bronco that we left here for us. And we're going to go all the way back to that forest again. And now this is important because if we don't get in the tiny Bronco here and we try to walk to that forest, we will activate the scene in the Mithril Mines where the Turks talk to us, and that will set our game moment to the wrong value. And then when we come back, that scene with Barrett and stuff will be gone. So we need to do it this way. We cannot walk into any towns. We cannot walk into the Mithril Mines. We got to take the tiny Bronco all the way around. And this was part of the puzzle that I had to solve as to how to do this at this point. Because the way that Michaelis did it is he just had a high wind here and he just flew. You can also do calm skip here if you wanted. instead of having the tiny Bronco. You could just catch a Chocobo and do Calm Skip, and that would get you over here as well. And now we're going to save again. Alright. Now, we are going to load the save right before the sample boss fight, which is this one. And now this is the hardest part of this to do, and luckily I have a save that makes it really easy, but this is going to be very difficult if you do not set it up prior. What you need to do is you need to walk around to where the Hojo scene plays out, where what I talked about earlier with Hojo walking through the door and then up the stairs. And you need to get into a fight probably about 2 or 3 seconds after he shows up on screen. If he gets all the way through the door and starts going up the stairs, it's too late. You need to basically see Hojo spawn in, and then within a second or two, get into a fight. And I got lucky enough to where this save that I have actually has the perfect step count, to where if I just run straight there, I will see Hojo, and then boom, into a fight. So, if you find that your step count isn't right, what you can do is you can do a little bit of running around and then save, and then try it. And then if that doesn't work, do a little bit of run around, save, try it, and just keep doing that until you get a save that has a good step count. So from here, we're going to die again. Alright. Then we're once again going to load the save we just made. And we're back on the Yuffie grind. Ooh, first try! It's my lucky day. The gods of Final Fantasy VII RNG have shined upon us for the tutorial. And this will plop us right into the HQ. And more importantly, it plops us right before Hojo opens that door. So what this does, and I'm not 100% on this, I read over it multiple times and I'm still like confused, but I think the way this works is your card clearance gets set to 66 during Hojo walking up there, and I think it's because he has to open the door, and so he kind of like cheats and uses your clearance to open the door, and then it like resets your clearance afterwards. I don't know why warping in at this exact moment makes it work, but for some reason it's running that line of code right when we get into this fight. So when we exit this fight, it gives us our clearance back. So we now have 66 card clearance. So now we are going to run up here. And this is what I was kind of talking about earlier with like game moment versus flag. The game is very confused as to what game moment we're in right now. So when we come up here, suddenly it's going to think we're at the part after this, where Genova gets out. But we have card clearance. And so we can just leave. So we're out. We're going to go all the way to the first floor. And we are going to walk all the way out of Midgar. Just straight up leave. Rufus is waiting at the roof to fight us, and we're just gonna walk. He actually is, and if we go up there, nothing happens. But, yeah, we're just gonna leave. Peace out. And now, if you are a regular viewer of my channel, you probably know what's about to happen, because when we were looking for Calm Skip way back when, we did extensive research on this scene. But basically, because we skipped that Barrett scene earlier, the game still thinks that we need to do that scene. So when we walk into this area, Cloud is going to try to snap to where he's supposed to be. And so we get to watch the longest climb of all time as he slowly climbs through the Sector 7 gate. All the way to the rope. And nailed it. And now, we do not need this scene anymore, so we can actually just go ahead and leave normally. And the funny thing here is when Barrett asks us to make the group, we're going to have access to our whole party. So we got the whole crew here. The game's like, and you're not supposed to be able to put 3 people over there, so like Barrett and Tifa walk through each other. But there we go, now we're back. And now we need to make one more trek all the way to the woods again. And if you want, if you're doing this on a later save file, you could have like a gold chocobo sitting over here, so you could like just take the chocobo without having to walk. But we can walk here now because we don't need that Barrett scene anymore. We can go ahead and let the Turk scene play out, and it shouldn't ruin anything. And so yeah, the game is going to play the Turk scene here. Because this scene is not a game moment thing, it's a flag, from what I understand. So even if the game thinks you're past this, if you've never seen it before, it'll play out. Either that or it's the opposite. I haven't looked into the scene. I don't know exactly why it plays, but I think that's why. It's either that or the opposite, where it's actually based on game moment, and because we jumped into Midgar, it's playing. I don't know. It's not important. What's important is that if this plays, the Barrett scene goes away for some reason. It's what I found out in my testing, because I wanted to see if I could do it without the Tiny Bronco, without having to park it by Midgar. But I found out that if you watch this scene, for some reason, the split up scene at the end of Midgar gets canceled. It's really weird. But that's why we need to do the Tiny Bronco for that first one. So now we're back, and we're gonna save one final time. And now we're gonna load the third save that we saved, or third save that we set up. And that is the save outside of Shinra HQ. And we're gonna bust in the front door. And we're gonna die one more time. And now we're gonna load that third save we made. And one more final Yuffie hunt. Hey, it's me from the future here. Real quick, I just want to clear this up because it's kind of confusing looking back at the footage. If you saw in the PHS there, Aerith is actually already in our party, or rather in the PHS menu, but she is not selectable here. So if you try to select her and put her in the party, it will not let you. So although she's in the PHS, she has not been officially added back into the party yet. She's going to be added in after this next step. Also, I said that this is the last Yuffie warp. There's actually one more. I just meant this is the last Yuffie warp before we officially get Aerith. But after this, we do have to do one more Yuffie warp to get her back into our main file. Oh yeah. Also, I forgot about this. because that barge-in fight has the no escape flag, we can't actually run away anymore. So we gotta fight all these fights until we find Yuffie. There she is. And now we're here. And now we're going to play through the Shinra HQ kind of normally. Kind of. So as you saw there, the elevator didn't work correctly. Like, we didn't get the normal elevator fight. It just brought us up normally. And now we have level 66 access. So we can go straight to floor 66. And this is kind of funny because we see the executives running through the door when we're not supposed to see them. And we're going to go up here. And oh my god, flushing the toilet was actually part of it all along. And now, through all of that, we finally have a situation where we have our party from the future, where Aerith should be dead, but we're about to fight the Hojo boss fight, or the Hojo boss fight, the sample boss fight. We have set the flags, we have set the key access, we have set the game moment in a very particular way so that this whole scene will play out as it's supposed to. And there we go. Sample boss fight. Which means that after this, Aerith is going to be placed permanently back into our party. And now, like I said, the enemy skill materia pops out, but it'll disappear after this scene. But here's where Aerith gets added back into the party, because at this point she was gone because the Turks captured her. So the game completely removed her from the party. And now here, this is where the game permanently places her back into the party. And now, we are just going to play through the rest of Midgar. All right, so quick note here. I I don't think this matters for my setup, but Michaelis had noted that if you try to run to the right here, it could reset your card. Either here or before with Genova. I don't think it would matter, though. I don't think it would matter for our setup, honestly. Even if you did. Because we're just leaving Midgar here now anyways. But Michaelis had noted something about how you can get your card setup messed up if you go back over the trigger, and then you can get soft locked. So figured I'd mention it, but I don't think it matters for our setup. It's Sapphire Weapon! Oh my god, he's attacking Midgar! What are we gonna do? So the game thinks we're on disc 2. So it plays the wrong video there. Alright. We finally made it. We're outside of Midgar. And we have our party from our future save. So now we can just leave Midgar normally. And we're gonna have our party from our future save. And we have Aerith permanently added into the party. So now, one final step. We're going to bring this new updated party to our other save file. And so for one final time, we're gonna walk all the way to the Yuffie Woods. Nope, this is the same Aerith as like when she died. Same level and everything. Same equipment, same level. Alright, here we are. One final save. And now, after all this setup, it is finally time to bring Aerith into our main game. So we're going to load our original save. This is, we played through the game normally, we just lost Aerith. And I wanna actually run outside real quick and double check just to make sure, because maybe when I was testing, I like added Aerith in and forgot to delete her or something. There's no way. She should be gone from this save. It should be a normal save. Yes, she is gone. No Aerith. She gone. So now we're going to go into the first screen after Aerith's death. And we're going to get into a fight. And we're once again going to die. And now we're going to load that final save we made. Let's go ahead and bring her in. There she is. Now let's find Yuffie for the final time. Alright, here we go. We have now Yuffie warped our party back into our original save. We have Aerith. Now there's one final thing we need to do, because this screen is a bit bugged when you warp into it. For some reason, when you try to climb up this, it sends you immediately back down. It's a really, I don't know why it does it, but for some reason it does it. So what we need to do is we need to walk out of this screen and then back in. But the screen before this also has a glitch where if we walk too far, it'll try to start the Sephiroth cutscene, but we're in the wrong spot, and so it'll soft lock. Actually, it'll hard lock. So we need to walk out of this screen and then walk right back in. And now we are officially done, but the game is still in a glitched state where it doesn't know what game moment we're in. So we need to make our way all the way to Icicle Inn. Because right now, if we were to try to leave, the game would be really confused as to where we are. And Icicle Inn is the first place where the game will correctly update our game moment. And now, when we go talk to this lady, there we go. Now that this scene has started, we are officially finished. The game has officially placed us back where we're supposed to be. The game is now going to play through the rest of the game normally, and Aerith is in our party. And we could go through all this, go through the snowboarding, and you'll see that she's still here. There goes Elena. So now from this point on, you can just play through the game. And from what I've heard, from back when I did the whole skip the death scene thing, you can play through the whole rest of the game with Aerith in your party, and none of the scenes will, like, crash. If you do find a scene that crashes, you can just remove her, do the scene, and then put her back in. But from what I understand, you can play through the whole rest of the game with her in the party, and she'll just be invisible during cutscenes. Most of the cutscenes. Some of the cutscenes, she's actually there. For example, if you do the snowboarding game, she actually appears on the ground after the snowboard game. So there's some like random scenes that she's in, but she doesn't have any dialogue. Hey, it's me from the future again. So after we filmed this video, we actually took the time to play through the entire rest of the game with Aerith. And turns out there is actually 4 different scenes where Aerith soft locks the game if she's in your active party. The first one is right before fighting Jenova in the Whirlwind Maze. The second is when you first find Cloud and Mediel. The third is during the rocket scene with Sid. And the last one is the scene that happens right after defeating Diamond Weapon. Now, for all of these scenes, all you have to do is remove Aerith from your active party, do the scene with a normal party, and then you're free to put her back in. But here she is. She has everything that we got in the temple, so we didn't have to skip the temple. You can get her armor back, whatever armor you lost that was on her. And she is fully functioning and working. So, again, absolutely insane that, yeah, I feel like I say this after every crazy thing we find, but the fact that the game is set up in a way that this is possible is just unreal. And the fact that Michaelis took what Dynamics did 8 years ago and said, we have new information about the game, so let's open this back up and see what we can do, and found out that this was possible is amazing. Yeah, that Aerith is back. Aerith is officially back in the party without having to skip temple. You can now play through the entire game, rest of the game with Aerith, with all the temple stuff, fully complete your save file, not miss a single thing, and have Aerith in your party. And you can do this at other parts of the game. You could be completely done with the game and then add her in on disc 3, but the setup's a bit different. I just wanted to show this setup because this is where I figured most people would want to revive her, is right after she dies. But there's other setups you can do with like the High Wind and a gold chocobo. And you can basically just like put her into any party you want. You can also put her back in the party as soon as she leaves the party. Right before, like when she leaves, when Cloud falls asleep after Temple, and she technically leaves, but she's not dead yet. You could put her back in the party, and then like you can even fight the Genova boss fight with Aerith, which is really goofy. But that, again, takes a bit of a different setup. So that's it. Aerith is officially back in the party without any downsides.